The Boston Food Forest Coalition helps build food forests across the city of Boston. We particularly focus in communities of higher need, communities where there's a higher tendency for food deserts or a lack of access to healthy, fresh food. On a sort of deeper level, the Food Forest Coalition really helps to bring communities together in open green spaces. It helps them create a visioning process and then enact that and have a collective ownership of their land.
Before, it didn't even look like a space. There was a lot of fallen trees, there was, metal, etc. It wasn't a space that was actually inviting.
And it was really the neighborhood association and the neighbors coming together and reaching out and advocating to the city elected officials and other entities to make sure that this food forest opens.
So in building this food forest, again, we wanted to both maintain as many of the trees that were already there, and in planting trees, most of them being trees that produce fruit. But trees are crucial to our well-being.
This is a planetary emergency that we're living through, and we're not going to mitigate the worst impacts of climate change by stopping the climate from changing. We're going to mitigate those worst impacts by recognizing our relationships with each other and coming together in community. That's where real resilience is. You're only as resilient as your neighbor. And so my feeling is that these spaces, they create resiliency in a physical sense because there's food, there's rainwater capture, there's carbon sequestration. We're mitigating the urban heat island by creating shade. There's reduction of stress and violence in neighborhoods. So in the physical sense, that's resiliency, but it's also about the relationships that we are knowing each other. And so when crisis strikes, we can lean on each other, we can reach out to each other. We have the practice of working together.
The most important thing is the building of relationships. And the more that people understand the value of a space and how things that are here, they actually are meant to feed you.
This food forest here is another space where community residents can get some fresh produce, something that's healthy, something that's organic, something that's close, something that's accessible, something that makes them feel like it's home because it's right here in their community.
Well, I think the next 10 years is going to be amazing to see how this changes over time because plants don't stay where you plant them. They like to migrate and move around. Trees that start small get big. They say the best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago. So in 10 years from now, we'll see what the trees really want to do. And I'm excited for that. And also how the neighborhood engages with it over that time and what this means and what this becomes for folks.
There would be no way for our city to have green spaces like this if we weren't able to come together.
All of the partners who've been involved here, this is transformational for generations to come. Earlier today, I was at a BPS event. Boston Public Schools had a project where every kindergartner was asked, I wrote them a letter and I said, share your vision of what you want your city to be. What do we need in Boston for everyone to have what they need? They had built a little mini they called it a free food farm with fruit trees and vegetables. And I got to say, I'm gonna go to Mattapan in about an hour and see this in real life. And you should have seen her eyes pop wide open, that their dreams are coming true because of what you all are doing here. So we know that many of these trees and plants will take a little bit of time and some of them maybe even some decades to reach their full productivity and all the actual fruit bearing. But we're doing this so all the kindergartners and their kids one day will have a beautiful space in our city. So I'm so thankful, I'm so moved to be here and just so grateful for all that you're doing.